Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. So good to have you here today. Excited to get into our Motivation and Mindset Monday topic. And it is based on part of the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, but also really foundational principles of success. So Benjamin Franklin had something called the 5-hour rule. And if you've never heard about it before, I'd love to be able to explain it to you today. It holds true today, just like it did 100 plus years ago as well. So what I want to do is really break this down, but also bring it into the modern world. How can we use it now? Maybe how did it differ back then? And bring it into focus based on your individual needs. So the Motivation and Mindset Mondays are one of my favorite shows because it is individualized. So what I want to do is share with you foundational based universal laws, principles that have helped people be successful in every different walk of life imaginable, really since the history of time. And the nice thing about, Benjamin Franklin's time, we know that he was a prolific inventor, author, etc., is that's when we started to really refine a lot of these teachings. And he was one of those people. So some people like him, some people don't like him. I don't think that we need to pass judgment on the person themselves, but rather we can look at really how they lived their life in terms of a lot of these principles. And Benjamin Franklin is one of those people, at least through his autobiography and different biographies written about him, was that someone who tried to maximize life, who really tried to understand a lot of these foundational based principles and bring them to life in his own life, make as much as he could out of his own life. And I think he did do a lot in that specific direction. What I'd like to do is just always borrow from other people. So I talk all the time about different mentors that I've had. I have brilliant mentors in terms of health. I met a great mentor. I wouldn't say that they were a mentor, but they opened my eyes to functional medicine and integrative health, holistic health, when I was around 19, 20 years old. And that's how I broke free of the conventional medicine model. And then I was able to then keep moving forward in that direction. Did I get well right away? No, I didn't get well right away. But this doctor showed me that there is another path to take. Before this doctor, I knew nothing about the HPA axis or the adrenals. I didn't know anything about food sensitivities. I didn't know anything about gut health. And they moved me. They opened my eyes in that direction. Of course, I met many practitioners since then. I read thousands and thousands of books, really before the age of 30. And at 27, I met my mentor. And then, as they say, the rest is history. I began to have a deeper understanding, not of all the different, thousands of books that I had read, because I had read the information, but Dr. Pete put it in a specific way where I was then better able to combine them all together. Because before that, I saw every form of medicine as individual. You did Ayurveda or nothing. You did traditional Chinese medicine or herbalism or nothing. You did, whatever it might be, Reiki or therapy or whatever it might be. Everything was separate. And what I learned is that we combine these things. And as we combine them, of course, that's what real traditional naturopathy or naturopathic doctor is all about. So that was an eye-opener. But I've also had great mentors in terms of developing all of these huge international organizations that we're running. And it's absolutely phenomenal that I'm able to be in this position. I'm very fortunate that, yes, I worked hard, but I've always kept my mind open. That's one of the biggest things about life that I found, is that you have to keep your mind open. So there's no doubt about it. I have very strong opinions. There's no doubt about that. I have very strong opinions, but they are able to be changed. That's the thing. So I have certain beliefs as to what I've seen be true in my life and for others. I've always been in a teaching type of practice. So, literally at 18 years old, I was working as a nutritionist and I was working as a personal trainer, really 50-50. A lot of people think that it was like more nutrition or more personal training. It was about half and half. I spent half my time teaching others about nutrition because I just did a crash course myself. It meaning like I had to learn as much as I could for my own body. Again, not working out without the other parts of functional medicine and integrative health, but I was spending a lot of my time doing that. I was working with people while I was in college and undergrad, and it was great. And it never stopped. I mean, I just always taught nutrition, exercise, and strength and conditioning, sports conditioning. You name it. And then, of course, got into integrative health, functional medicine, etc. So over that time, though, I've been able to come in contact with hundreds of thousands of people. And they all tell the same type of story. Is the story different? Yes, it's unique to their own life. But honestly, they all have the same wants and needs. They're just different for how they phrase them and how for their particular life. But I've worked with many billionaires, and they have their own issues, whether it be with health, or it might be with family, or it might be in any area. It's just usually not with finance, right? Because they're a billionaire. But you never know, because they sometimes have a lot more stress because they're pulled in a lot more direction because of their finance. And I've worked with people, I've worked with many people who not making a lot of income, and then they have the other side of it. They might have great family, great relationships, but they struggle to make ends meet financially. And so again, the struggles are all the same. They're just in part of those, 5 areas that I talk about, which is the health and relationships and the body transformation, spirituality. And there's always one more in there because I always mix them up, but I always go health, body, your overall finances, career, your relationships, your spirituality. So typically you can bucket them in one of those particular areas, and that's where we need to focus on. And so what I like to do is this. I say, listen, out of everything that I've seen, again, I have strong opinions because I've just worked with so many different people, but I'm always keep my mind open. And that's the thing. And I'm always learning, and I'm always reaching out for additional coaches like, hey, where can you help me in this area? Like, for example, I have an amazing COO of my company, Equalife. I'm the founder of that company. I formulate all the different protocols because, of course, it's from what I did in Boston for many, many years. And then I put it online, and I just said, listen, I want to open source this for the world. I want anybody not to have to ask their doctor for a lab. And I want them to be able to do it right at home for them or their family. And I want anybody to be able to get the protocols that I use. And yes, people are going to copy me. And yes, they have. But I felt like the greater good was to get this out to people. I know that it works. So let's get it out there to people. So that's what we do. But in terms of the actual systems and functions and hiring, my chief operating officer is the one who makes that happen. They have the brilliance in that area. And again, that a great mentor in regards to that. And I'm able to lean on those people to say, at the end of the day, they're my decisions. But I say, what do you think is the best decision in this area? Or what am I missing? I say that quite a bit. What am I missing? What am I missing here? What's going on that I don't see that I feel this particular way? And it's a great way of looking at things. And the bottom line, though, is you have to know why you're in it in the first place. And that's a big part of Benjamin Franklin's work as well. It's like, what are you doing with your life? It's one of those big questions that we don't always like to ask because we don't always like where we are. But if we're afraid to ask the question, if we're afraid to set new goals for ourselves, it's because we don't actually believe that we can change our present moment. And when we don't believe that we can change our present so that our future won't be any different, it leads to, well, yes, a lot of complacency, but we form this shell around us. We become a little bit hardened. We become a little bit jaded. We get more jealous of people's success rather than being like, that's amazing. And then saying, hey, how did you do that? That's the great thing is like, if someone's achieving success in any area of their life, I'm all about like applauding them and just saying, how did you do that, right? So it's like body transformation or health or relationships or spirituality or career, whatever it might be, is like, hey, how did you make that happen? I'd love to hear the story about where you started and then how you got to this point. Because I'm sure it wasn't an easy path. Everyone always thinks like, oh, they're so lucky, this, that, and the other thing. The amount of work it takes to overcome anything is a ton, right? So a lot of people kind of say, well, they're already good in that area, so it kind of comes naturally to them. Okay, well, not every area of life it comes naturally, right? It took a lot of work for me to overcome my health issues. But it's the best thing that I've ever done. I live the life that I want to because I overcame my health issues, because now I have the energy, the vitality, the zest for life that allows me to say, oh, today's a challenging day, but I'm going to be able to overcome this, right? So I can look back on that. I can say, I did it. Here's how I did it. And so again, what I want for you is just to understand that the future can be different, okay? The future can be different, but it's based on our present moment actions. And our present moment actions are based on the feelings that we feel about the world and ourselves. And the feelings that we feel about ourselves and the world go back to the thoughts that we're thinking. If we have negative thoughts, well, we have negative feelings. If we have negative feelings, we take negative actions that sabotage our future success. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to first come up with, what do we want our future to be? It doesn't have to be outrageous. Like, you don't have to, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I want to, maybe they have like, let's say like Addison's disease or POTS or ME, like I used to have. Like, I want to be able to run a triathlon. Okay, I mean, it's great. Like, that's fine. But you don't want to run a triathlon anytime soon because it's going to take a period of time to rejuvenate your body. So maybe you say, I want to run my first 5K. Like, I mean, just like you can build off. You don't have to go like shoot for the moon. I do love that. But you say, well, what are you going to do first, right? So before you run that Ironman, what are you going to do first? Okay, so we can do that first. And that's what I do love. So again, never limit yourself, but also, do you even want to run a triathlon? Like, that's the thing. It's like, so pick something that you want to do, that you enjoy, right? That means something to you. Not that means something else, like someone else, or don't do something just to like spite someone else or spite the sickness or illness that you have, right? Like, don't do it just for that. Do it for you. What has meaning to you? And so just, again, I always say this, I'm going to get to Ben Franklin's 5-hour rule in 1 second, but here's the thing. Choose something in life that has meaning to you. And I usually say this, choose a topic or a goal that if you didn't achieve it by the end of your life, you would have regrets. Okay. You can have multiple goals in life. There's no doubt about it. You can have multiple goals now. But ideally, try to focus on one for right now to come true. Because definiteness of purpose is what allows people to stay focused and have discipline on a daily basis, all right? So definiteness of purpose allows people to stay focused, which allows them to then take the actions they need to move forward in life. And here now we get to use. So once you know that goal, okay, choose one. Back in the day, it was my health. Nothing else mattered. I wasn't focused as much on career. I was focused on my health. Get well. Try this, go to see this practitioner, that practitioner. And I made it happen. I stayed focused. It was my most important thing. Without it, I knew that I wasn't going to be a good husband to my wife. I wasn't going to be a good dad one day to my 2 daughters who weren't on this earth yet. I wasn't going to be good for anybody because I was a walking zombie. I was exhausted all the time. And that made me miserable. I wasn't good some days at work because I was exhausted, right? So choose one thing and then you can move on to the next. That's okay. But if it's a big goal, small goals are fine. You can have a lot of small goals. It just takes a little bit of action to make those things happen. Okay. A big goal, though, requires your focus. Now, how do we implement the Benjamin Franklin 5-hour rule? Okay, well, this is it. Benjamin Franklin said, you need to learn for 1 hour per day, 5 days per week. Okay, so that's 5 hours. Now, it's important though, because he didn't say 5 hours in one day. This is where a lot of times we go astray. We call, back in the day, it's called the weekend warrior, right? So it's like you just work so hard Monday through Friday. You didn't do anything else. You didn't see your family. You didn't exercise. You didn't eat well. You didn't, whatever it is. And like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours every day on Saturday and Sunday to try to make up for Monday or Friday. And I get it. And it's actually, it's noble. It's a good idea. Like, hey, I'm going to try to make up for it, but you can't make up for it. That's the issue. The nice thing is, and I tell a lot of people this, listen, if you are so busy, I understand. I've been there myself. I've literally been there myself, working 14 to 16 hour days, and there wasn't really time for exercise. There wasn't time. So I'm going to teach you how to do this though, is for those people, for the exercisers, the weekend warriors, Saturday, Sunday, don't crush yourself. Try to get in a Wednesday workout. If you do that, you got 3 days a week. You never went more than 2 days without the workout. It's fantastic. It really is. So don't beat yourself too much up about that. But it was every day for Benjamin Franklin about learning. And here's why. It has the compounding effect. Because you create a discipline that you do daily for 1 hour, which is what I'm going to be talking about here today. If you only do it on one day for 5 hours, or you split over 2 days, you lose momentum. Momentum in life is one of the keys to success. Because yes, some people will be an overnight success. It's very, very rare. Usually it takes 10 years to be an overnight success of hard work every day. But really what you want is momentum. So you do a little bit today, but you don't crush yourself. And that allows you then to move into the next day. And that allows you then to move into the next day. And it's the compound effect. I did a book review on this. I did a podcast on this on a Monday, Motivation and Mindset Monday. But the compound effect is saying we do some today, we do some tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. We just get 1% better, 1% better. And then you start to get compounding effects. Do you see anything for the first couple weeks or months? No, you oftentimes don't. But what you're doing is you are building momentum. You are creating small actions. Okay, greater actions, a little bit greater. And then it also becomes normalized. You need to normalize success. So let me give you a few examples of this. All right. There are many people out there looking to improve their health. Okay. They're looking to lose weight, get healthier. They're looking to get into a relationship. They're looking to improve their relationship. They're looking to improve their career. They're looking to improve their spirituality. There's no doubt about it that you could read for 1 hour a day, not online. Okay. We need to pick up books. I always have books all around me. I mean, literally, my desk is a mess right now. That's how I basically work. I clean it up at the end of the day. I've got my research papers. I've got books on my desk. I have everything, right there. But you need to read books. Okay. This is a book, right? Now, why do I say books? And again, Benjamin Franklin was big on books. And here's why. Because we read a lot of articles online and we jump to conclusions. But an article is 1,000 words, maybe 1,500. It takes you maybe 10 minutes to read. There are some more in-depth articles, but that's it. But either way, it doesn't equate to a 300-page book. And if we're not reading books, then we don't ever get depth. And if you don't get depth, you have surface knowledge, which is never going to lead to that much success. Because you'll get surface level results. And they're usually quick fixes. Quick fixes are fine if that's all you're looking for. Listen, if you want to lose, 5 pounds in 2 days, there are ways to do it. You're just going to get it back. That's the issue, right? Because you're not actually rebalancing anything. You're not getting your body healthier. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to go deeper. Now, if you read for 1 hour a day, my typical recommendation was always 30 minutes. Excuse me. Was always 30 minutes a day. It's still 30 minutes a day. I'm going to talk about that just in another 2 minutes or so. But the reason why Benjamin Franklin said 1 hour a day is because anybody reading 1 hour a day, even if you're a slow reader, which I used to be, that's about 3 minutes a page, you will still get through 20 pages a day. Okay? So at 20 pages a day, you're finishing a book every 2 weeks. That's the nice thing, right? 250-page book, 300-page book. You're finishing that every 2 weeks, which means you're reading 2 books a month. If you read 2 300-page or 250-page books a month on whatever your goal is, and you do that for 6 months, and you read 12 books, how much depth do you think you will have on that one topic? A lot. You read 12 experts' books on a topic, right? On one topic, you're going to know, that's the beautiful thing about books. I talk about this all the time. Most authors, like if it's a reputable author, they've been working for about 20 years before they write that first book. You get to save 20 years of their life, and you get to read that in a book. When I wrote The Rain Barrel Effect, the book literally began being written, it was over 5 years, 7 years before I ever published it. It used to be 800 pages. I condensed it to 400 because nobody's going to read 800 pages. You get 20 years of practice in there, right? So like that's the thing is like a lot of authors' books, they give you their best stuff. And you get to read all of that with depth, and then you get to make connections between all the different authors. They're like, well, if I read all of these books, these authors are essentially saying the same thing about this one topic in different ways. Do you think that that's the answer? The answer is yes. And then when you have the knowledge, you begin to implement. How long does the implementation take? Typically no more than an hour a day, at least in the beginning, to get started, right? So read first, gain depth, then begin to implement. Here are some other things I wanted to share with you, though. I still believe in the half hour a day of reading for your entire life. And then I believe in the half hour of implementation. That is a magical morning. I really do believe that. So what I want to share with you is this. This is how I would do it. Read the books. You don't need to take action right away, because if you don't know how to achieve your goal right now, you're missing knowledge, right? You're missing the blueprint. You're missing knowledge. So what you really want to do is you want to read or study for your online courses or study for your online certifications. That's a form of reading. You're getting the online education. You're getting in-depth education, or go to class, whatever it is that you're doing. But I'm assuming you're kind of already graduated, and now you're looking to say, okay, I have this goal. I need to get depth. I don't want to go wide. I want to go deep on a topic. All right. So once you've read and I don't even think that you're going to need 12 books. I don't. I think you're going to need about 5 or 6. So you're going to read those books. It's going to take you no more than 3 months, right? 2 books a month times 3 months. You've got 3 months now done, 6 books under your belt, all on one topic. If you have Hashimoto's, you're just going to read the top books on Hashimoto's, or you're going to take an online course on that, or you're going to do something that gives you depth. But then you're going to implement. You're going to implement continue with your 30 minutes a day of reading, okay? Because it's a beautiful habit to carry with you. And then 30 minutes of implementation. Here's what I recommend. I've talked about this before, but it still holds true. And Benjamin Franklin was an early to rise kind of guy. Wake up earlier. Wake up earlier. It's going to pay you back. Now, in the beginning, here's an easier way to wake up earlier. You're going to go to bed 30 minutes earlier. All right. So you're going to go to bed 30 minutes earlier. You're going to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Because if you typically wake up at 7 or 8, and I tell you to wake up, if you're waking up at 7, let's say, wake up at 6, and you're still going to bed at 11, you're going to feel groggy. You're not going to feel great. But here's the thing. Let's say you typically go to bed at 11, go to bed at 10:30. You'll be okay. Everything will be good. You'll be fine, right? So you go to bed at 10:30, and now instead of waking up at 7, you're going to wake up at 6:30. Right? So now you have your hour back. Well, that's a fantastic thing. What are we going to do? Well, we're just going to work back a bit. So we go to bed a half hour earlier. We wake up a half hour earlier. Okay. So here's what we get: the same exact amount of sleep, but then we can use the time wisely throughout the day. So here's what we can do. We can do that half hour of reading before bed, right? We can do that. There's no doubt about it. We can make that happen, right? And then your half hour of implementation can be first thing in the morning. I love reading at night before bed, because whatever I'm reading, that is what stays in my mind while I go to sleep. It is one of those secrets. I'll talk about that on a future podcast. We don't have time for it today. So definitely stay tuned for additional how to really get this information to get deep into the subconscious mind. Before bed is a great way to do it. Upon waking is as well. But I like upon waking for doing the hardest things for the day that you don't want to do. Okay. You don't want to exercise, but your goal is weight loss. Half hour every single day, Monday through Friday. Doesn't have to be crushing. You can do weights on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. You can do cardio on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe even pick up a weekend day. So that's the thing. Oh, you're working on your nutrition. You're working on your health. Great. We can meal prep for a half hour every single morning for the day. Not a problem. We can make our lunch. We can make our breakfast. We're good to go. We can have dinner at night, however you want to do that. You need time to study for that certification. You can do that first thing in the morning. Shower, get ready for the day. You already woke up a half hour earlier. Now use that time for your study. Again, wake up a half hour before your partner, before your family. That is your quiet time. That is your time to get things done. And you will do it. You really will do it once you start reading these books, because the books show you that someone else has already done it. And if they've done it, so can you. And they've probably helped hundreds, if not thousands of other people just like you to make their goals happen in that health, that body transformation, that career, the relationship, the spirituality, whatever it might be. Again, someone else has already done it. Someone else is living the life that you want. You can have it too. Most people aren't born into special circumstances. Yes, there's a 1% of people that are born into special circumstances, but most people aren't. Like, they're just born in average, families, average communities, and they get to decide. Yes, some people are also born in a little further back in specific areas. I get it. I understand. But there's so many hundreds of thousands of success stories also, from the worst of conditions to rising to the very top. And so, we just never know the person. But I do really want to go back to this, is that, yes, this oftentimes, all these things that I'm talking about, it takes time. It really takes time in the short term, right? You need to do all these things in the short term that you don't want to do because you already don't have the time, and you can't put one more thing in your plate, as they say. But here's the thing. It gives you time in the long run. because it allows you a little bit more freedom having done what you want to accomplish in life. It allows more bandwidth, and also by doing the hard things, it enables you to buffer stress. You say, sure, I've been through hard times before. I was able to accomplish this, that, and the other thing, and now I'm living the life that I want. So when you're doing that and a new challenge comes to you, okay, you haven't conquered this challenge before, but you know what? You've conquered others. And if you could conquer those, you can conquer this one as well. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Always happy to help answer any questions that are brought to me. So just let me know in the comments if I can help in any way. And of course, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you do not miss out on this week's special promotion over at equa.life. Right now, you can take 30% off all individual at-home functional medicine lab tests. The same exact ones that we use in our private practice, we are now open sourcing to the entire world. We literally ship to over 30 countries around the world, and every single at-home functional medicine lab test, not only does it come with a 30-minute consultation, a one-on-one meeting with one of my certified integrative health practitioners that's on the EquaLife team, but they are going to make sure that you understand your results. That is the big EquaLife difference. You can get a lot of lab tests that are popping up kind of all over the place now, but these companies are not providing you with what really matters. And that's the data, so that you don't need to Google search and figure out and find out all sorts of different things that may or may not be true. So you're gonna get a call with a qualified individual that is going to share with you exactly what those lab results mean based on you as an individual, not just based on the numbers. Plus, in addition to that, you are going to get a protocol that was meant for you. So based on your lab, based on your results, based on your personal story, you're going to get a protocol that fits you. That is the EquaLife difference, and that is why I cannot recommend at-home functional medicine lab testing through EquaLife enough. Right now, you can save 30% off most, or I should say all individual labs at equa.life while supplies last. So head on over to equa.life, that's equi.life/labs to see the already marked down 30% off. You can do gut testing with your organic acids test. We call that Candida metabolic and vitamins test. You can do the IgG food sensitivity test. You can do the bacteria and parasite stool testing. All three of those can be used for gut testing. You can choose one, you can choose multiples. You can do the stress, hormones, and metabolism test, which looks at your stress hormones like cortisol, your sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA. It even looks at your thyroid in 4 different spaces. It looks at your vitamin D, your insulin, and hemoglobin A1C. That's absolutely phenomenal. You can look at your omega-3 levels to see what your levels of omega-6s, which are inflammatory, to your anti-inflammatory omega-3s are. You can do a minerals and metals test to look at your mineral levels, your electrolytes, as well as heavy metals in your body. Neurotransmitters test, mold test, environmental toxicity test. There's so much right there that you can check out. So if you've been wanting to save 30% on any one of those at-home lab tests, this is our biggest promotion to date. We want to make sure that we get these labs into as many people's hands as possible. The information is life-changing. Head over to equi.life/labs for all the details. Take care.